joy every Wednesday to be joined by our official breakfast show sponsors. Do you know without them, there would not be a breakfast show. They're the sponsors of this show, the official ones. Any other organisation that say that they are the sponsor of the breakfast show, they're having you on. These are the genuine ones. These are the real deal, friends. I'm talking about Compassion UK, of course. And last week we had 2 for the price of 1. Now we've got 1 for the price of 2, which I'm not quite sure about that, Tim, but good morning.
Well, good morning, Gareth. Thank you so much. I'm not sure if there's a compliment in there or not. I'm sure there is.
So I want you to tell me a little bit about Parliamentary Week. Because we were, and this is what sometimes can happen with live radio, because we can organise something and then changes happen at the last minute. So we'll just inform the listeners as to what Parliamentary Week actually is, and then potentially come back to this when it's not Parliamentary Week, but we'll shoehorn it in somewhere.
That's right. Well, I think that there's been an awful lot of things going on in politics lately, hasn't there? And conferences and changes, and we've seen people in the door and out the door and all kinds of things. We recognize as an organization that we need to be working with other organizations to try and influence government in terms of how they respond to the needs in the world. And, so really we're celebrating our relationship with UK government in terms of UK aid and partnerships that we've been able to enjoy over the last few years that have been able to be kind of match funding for some of our ministry, particularly in Togo, where child mortality rate was so high. And through the great giving of supporters and then match funded by UK aid, we were able to start many, many more of our child survival programs in Togo, each accommodating many women, pregnant women, and helping them through their early days of pregnancy, right through their pregnancy, safe delivery, all that kind of thing, and then supporting them through those early months with their child. And we wouldn't have been able to do that had it not been for the relationship that we had and the money that was released through government funding as well. So we're looking at other ways that we can do that. We were able to go back to Parliament on a couple of occasions and celebrate that there in the House. I had to put a suit on, Gareth, to go there. And
you've seen that.
Yeah, I know.
Available.
I haven't worn a tie and a collar for a long time, but yeah, no, it's nice to be there and meet some of the MPs that are really passionate about our work and the work of development around the world. And we don't always hear this stuff. There's a lot of criticism, but there are some great people in government that are working hard to make a difference. And we really appreciate their support, their partnership, and their voice, in those corridors of power, as it were. So we're celebrating that this week. And, hopefully I'll bring one of our team on who's more involved in that whole area to share more about some of the good things that are happening.
It is nice to hear positive stories about MPs and Parliament. So what we're going to do, we will take a little break. We'll play a song and then we'll be back with Tim, because last week, if you listen, we were talking about the communication between the sponsor and the child. And we were wondering, what does that look like? So Tim is going to do a little narration for us of some of the letters. Now, just to say that the people involved, they have given permission for these to be read out publicly. It's not like Tim's gone, it did do on the database. That'll do, and we'll share that on the radio. It has all gone through the official way so that we can publicise this. And we just want to find out what that communication is like. You know, those first letters, those letters that you may send when you've been in communication with this child, and that child is now a teenager, is now an adult. What kind of things do you talk about? And it's all to raise awareness of the great work that Compassion are doing. You can go to their website, compassionuk.org, and I'm on the website now. And I didn't realise that actually if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you can see all the children who need sponsoring at the moment. So, for example, we've got a girl called Genesis who's from Guatemala, and she's 6 years old. She's been waiting 7 months for sponsorship. There's a little boy called Tiga who's in Rwanda. And there's just that you see these photographs and just think, I wish I could help them all. Maybe you can help them all on the website at the moment. I don't know where you are financially, but maybe it's just one. It's a name, it's a date of birth, it's an area that is close to your heart. Go to the website, compassionuk.org, and have a look. And we'll be back with Tim in just a moment. Is changing, and well, everything is changing on the show because I got it wrong. I just want to put this out there and say that when I said that we've had permission, well, we have had permission, but actually this is closer to the heart than we thought it was, because what we're about to hear in a moment is the letters, the communication between Tim and his family and their child sponsor. But just before that, you did mention a name that leaped out at me, the name Gilbert. And the reason that leaped out is because it was my granddad's name, and also it's my son's second name. So tell us all about Gilbert, Tim.
Yeah, Gilbert is one of our incredible Compassion graduates. So that means he's been right through the program. Gilbert lives in Kenya. And he was I was just reading a little article about how he was saying it. Yeah, it changed my life, this program. I was able to go to school and do all of these things. He said, but the thing that stood out was the letters that I received from my sponsor and words of kindness that really lifted me. And he said, it's words like, Gilbert, we believe in you. That's a great thing, isn't it? When you know that someone believes in you, or Gilbert, you can do better than that. So it's spurring him on, to do better in his studies and school and all the rest of it. Gilbert, God loves you. That's the central message, I guess, isn't it? Gilbert, you have value. Gilbert, you are precious. So many kids around our world just because of what poverty tells them, it's a lie. It says that you're rubbish, you're worthless. But for someone to be able to say, you have value, you are precious, means an awful lot to a child. Gilbert, you are fearfully and wonderfully made. He says, these messages help me to lift my head higher than my weaknesses and inadequacies. My sponsor continuously told me how proud they were of me. Their kindness, displayed through their encouraging words, helped me get my attention off of my flaws and onto my strengths. These words changed my hopelessness to the hope that only Christ can give. Just amazing, And so this is such an incredibly important part of what it means to invest in a child. Gilbert, right now, he has a ministry called Love Revolution, and he's caring for 150 vulnerable children there in Kenya. So, he's really putting it back, isn't he? And all that investment.
About that, yeah, exactly, that word investment, because one person, well, or a family, I guess, invested into Gilbert. And now, as you said, 100 and odd other children now are reaping the benefits, I suppose, of the fact that Gilbert had a future, and now 100 and odd more children. And there'll be hundreds of children going through that ministry and getting help, all because that one person decided that they would sponsor Gilbert. And this is the incredible thing about Compassion, because this investment continues for generations and generations and generations. And you can do your bit. We know that it is difficult times at the moment financially. We know that. So what we don't want to do is to hit you with that guilt stick. We'll never do that on the radio station and say, actually, you know what? You need to do your bit regardless of if you can't pay your bills or not. That is not what we're about here, and it's not what Compassion are about either. What we're about is sort of putting these seeds out there and saying, financially, you may be in a position to do your bit. if you're not, then pray for the organization, pray for compassion and the people who are in the offices, actually on, should we call it the battlefields at the moment, actually with these children, pray for them. But the website that I want you to go to and to have a look, and you can make a difference. You can find out about events, which we'll be talking about in a moment, compassionuk.org. Head over there and be sure to as well give them a follow on the socials, because they post some real encouraging content up there. So now maybe you want to hear an example of what the communication is like between the people who sponsor the child and the child. So Tim, over to you on this one.
Sure. I think on another occasion, what we'll do is maybe give some letter writing tips for some of the supporters out there. And,
Absolutely.
That's always helpful because your mind can go blank. What do I share? But the children want to know about your life. And I think we need to be sensitive about that, so that we're not parading all the stuff that we've got in front of them. But they want to know about us as we want to know about them. Let me just share a letter. It was the first letter that we got from one of our children. This is about 10 years ago. Her name is Samruit, and she lives in Ethiopia, in Addis Ababa. And so I think we started sponsoring her when she was about 7 or 8, something like that. And she writes to us, "Beloved sponsor," and then she puts in brackets, "Dad, how are you doing? I am fine and praise the Most High God. Last week, I got your family's picture and I love it very much. I spent, that's right, I'd been out there on a trip and I had actually met her. She said, I spent a marvelous time with you here in Ethiopia and I'll never forget it. I miss you a lot. May God bring you safe next year. Dad, I will keep you in my heart forever. I had no biological father," she says. I know what she means, but she had no dad of her own in a sense. "But you are my dad in my heart. You're my real dad. I'll call you Dad from now on, and I hope you are willing. Dad, I have joined another school. It's called Mekanisa Primary School. My dad, I promise you, I will get good grades this year. I will be a famous, clever student for you. My mum was a bit sick, but she is okay now, and we praise God. Please accept her greetings to you and all your family. Dad, second semester is approaching, and I am working hard. I'll let you know my result in the next letter. Dad, I miss you a lot. When children ask me, where is your dad? You haven't got a dad. I tell them, yes, I have. He is abroad because I have a father now. Beloved Dad, I pray that you and your wife may live together forever." She says, "I love you so much. Your child, Samruit Mullican. Goodbye." And, when I got that letter, Gareth, I was in a bit of a mess, if you can imagine it. And, will you be my dad? If you're willing. Well, yeah, I'll sign up to that one.
It's a beautiful thing, isn't it? Wow. I never realized that it was that personal. I don't know why, but I imagine that the sort of letters, it would be just sort of a bit more formal.
Yeah, and I think very often they are. And we've got other children and the letters are very formal. It's just letting us know what they're doing and whatever. But there just seems sometimes to be such a bond that is created, and we certainly have that with Samrit, and because of my work and because I've been to Ethiopia on a number of occasions, I've been able to see her on those occasions and build that relationship. So I appreciate that's not going to be the same for everybody. But here's another one. We just got this 2-3 weeks ago from Samrit, and she says, "Dear Mr. Tim and Mrs. Sonia, how are you doing? I am very fine. How is your family? Mine is very fine. Dear my father, how is the condition of COVID? It has been declining here in Ethiopia. Dear my father, I miss you so much. I'm waiting for you very eagerly to come and visit me. Dear my Father, I thank you a lot for all you have been doing from the bottom of my heart. Now I am preparing myself to take a national examination for 12th grade, and I will be a university student next year. Dear my Father, I miss you so much. I will be happy if you come and spend some time together. I wish you all the best. I love you so much. Many thanks. And it's just a privilege, to be able to invest in a child, in this young woman now, who wouldn't have had that opportunity. Now she's going to go to university, but maybe before she could have been perhaps in the wrong company. She could have been in early marriage, early pregnancy, who knows? But what a privilege. And it really warms my heart to think that we can make a difference in this way to a young woman like that, and she's full of thanks. But look, it's just what we have to do. It's a privilege to do it. It's not a have to thing. It's a love to thing. And I know many other sponsors maybe who are listening today feel that same sense of privilege, Gareth. But there's just a beautiful little example of the relationships that can happen.
Thank you for sharing. And it's all about that communication. So if you missed it last week, then we were talking about, actually, it's not just a case of every month your money goes out and you never hear anything from the child or the organisation. There's support for you to help you write the letters, and there's support for the child, of course. It really is a team effort. And you can find out more by going to the website compassionuk.org. Head over there right now. I can't believe it, but we're going to be talking about Christmas. A lot of Christmas events happening, but one in particular. Tell us about this, Tim, because it's the 8th of December, so under a month away.
Absolutely. So we're really excited about Carols with Compassion. It's something we've been doing the last 2 or 3 years. We had to do it online through the pandemic, but this will be our first kind of live event. And it's going to be at Welcome Church in Woking. So if you're listening today from the kind of Surrey area, Hampshire area, then maybe this is an opportunity for you. It's a free event. We'd love you to book in anyway on our website, and just go to compassionuk.org/events, and you can find out more about how just to book in for that. But we've got Philippa Hannah there, and many of you will have heard Philippa's ministry before. We've also got Noel Robinson, and he always just brings it every time. We got Steph McLeod as well from Scotland, and we've also got Lucy Grimble too. And these are just some of the great artists that are going to be there. We've got Jane, who is a formerly sponsored child, a Compassion graduate. He's going to be emceeing the whole event, and it will be really good just to hear his story in the midst of all of that. So come and join us if you can, and we'll give details about where you can watch it online as well. But this is a live event, but you need to book into it. Carols with Compassion, December the 8th at Welcome Church, Woking.
And the website to get your tickets and to find out more details, compassionuk.org/events. That's compassionuk.org/events. Tim, it's always a pleasure. We know that you've got a lot of traveling to do this week, so safe travels, and we'll speak to you next week.
Thanks so much, Gareth. Look forward to it.